This is recording 796. The name of this episode is Listen Next 796. The name of my podcast is Speaking to the CIA. You can find me at speakingtothecia.com or christinastation918.com. So I'm going to continue on. I've got a couple of more reports to make here. So anyway, okay, so remember when I told you I can see in my brain? She put stuff in my brain. So you're going to want to refer to the podcast where I'm talking about Jean showing me that she drowned a little boy. And I could see the death scene. I saw Jean icing someone and pulling the little boy out of the bathtub, and he was wet and he was being pulled up by his elbow, and he was limp. He was deceased. Anyway, so you're going to want to refer to that podcast. So this is something else Jean did, and Jean told me she did it, and she told me she would get away with it. And I turned her in for it. I did a sketch up, and when I pressed charges against her at Tulsa Police Headquarters, I did a sketch up and I turned her in for it. So she has been charged with that. Now, since then, Jean has spread lies everywhere, and she's got a bunch of paid people to lie for her and cover her butt because, like, she promised me she can do what she wants and she'll get away with it. So all those people that are lying for her should also be charged with, well, they'll be charged with murder, terrorism, trafficking, treason, everything that you press charges against Jean for, because they keep trying to cover for Jean Roberts. So, and Jean Roberts is running around acting like, and she, you know, when she replays my podcast, she clips stuff out and she puts me in a different voice. And then she changes the names around, and then she runs around on her end acting like she's a child advocate. And I know you guys know that, but it really, really ticks me off. I can't believe people are so stupid that they can't tell that Gina's running a con and not turning her in. So anyway, so you know how she does everything using music and media, and then she does all her demonic ciphers or Charles Manson knick-knack paddywhack. Well, this is what she used. And one of the things that she used, and someone was showing me this in my brain, the phrase, throw the baby out with the bathwater. She used that. In syncing up and you as a theme to murder that little boy with. Okay, so anyway, let me move forward. This is a big one here. Okay, so, okay, I'm just going to go through my notes here. Let me see here. So, because I've kept track of everything for a couple of weeks here. And Jean made another threat using AI to nab an English dialect voice. So she was speaking in like a British voice, and she said, that's it for the United States. And then she said, she made another threat, and she said, Christina, that's all from Hollywood. So now she's the spokesperson of Hollywood. Okay, so moving forward. Okay, back to when I was 2 months old and she assaulted me with a pencil. Okay, and I told you I can see her doing that to me in my brain. I was actually told that by the cartel. And I know you guys know that because it's in my podcast. They're like, Jean molested you. And then since then, I've decoded all kinds of ciphers of Jean's all around her bragging about molesting me with a pencil when I was 2 months old. And using me as some sort of like baby sacrifice and planning to do the World Trade Center attack. Well, because you're the Scorpio child. So anyway, so something else she did that was pointed out to me is, okay, you know how she this is what she does, okay? Her tactic of she commits the crime, she lies, She tries to hide it. She tries to pretend that she's me for coverage and has herself worshipped, literally worshipped. And then she commits crimes. Okay. And then she turns around and has me attacked and has me gang stalked based off of crimes she committed or lies she has spread, which are also crimes that she's committing. Okay. So what she's doing is she's treating me like a punching bag. So it relieves her of, like, if she's constantly punching at me and having me punched, then it relieves her of all that on her. She thinks it's funny, like I'm a walking around punching bag, and she just like beats the shit out of me, right? And she does this by gang stalking and lies and da 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 da. Meanwhile, I'm trying to figure out a way, which I figured out years ago. I started turning around like 4 or 5 years ago, and now I've got my podcast. I've got charges pressed against her. So with the punching bag thing, this is something else that she did. So punching bag, what are the initials of that? PB. So that's lead. It's all a game to her. So she's referring to me also, this also goes back to her molesting me as a baby. She's referring to me as a punching bag. Okay. So if you take the word punching bag, okay, so she's punching in, she's like assaulting me with a pencil. If you take the word punching bag, there's a put 3 parentheses between the N and the C, put 1 parenthesis after the H, and put 2 parentheses between the N and the G, and then after bag, put parenthesis B parenthesis. So all that breaks down into even more. You're going to be like, oh my God. So she's calling me a pig and everything else, okay? So also what she's doing is she is referring to, you have to remember, I was born in 1971. She's referring to as a theme, present day, back then, the Jonestown Massacre, the Kool-Aid. So also in this is chump change. Put a parenthesis around the U, and then she's also making reference to technology back then. She's making reference to punch cards. Okay, now she always calls herself a card. She's referring to herself as Navy. Okay, now when she joined the Navy fraudulently with the plan to crash the United States government in the future. Okay, she's Charles Manson. She totally infiltrated the military, her and her hiding Charles Manson. Another thing is she's making a reference to here is, so that also connects to later on when I'm a little girl and my mom and Jeff get me the my favorite stuffed animal, which my mom named my drunk monkey. She named it Drunk Monkey, which I told you I thought was like, oh my gosh. Now I see that she iced my mom. Do you see what she did there? Drunk Monkey. Not my mom, what Jean did, icing my mom. My favorite little stuffed animal. So if you take the dates from punch cards, so you go 1884, and then you go my year of birth, 1971. So the first thing you're going to notice is the 11. Okay, I was born November 13th, 1971. If you take 84 minus 71, that's 13. And then you can see the link, how it's going from the snake bite. Okay, so the 1974 minus 71 is 3. And then you can see it going from when I was 2 months old, then to 3 years old. And then also she assaulted me somehow. I don't know how she managed to do this. I do know with the pencil that she did this. I still can't see her doing this to me with the wooden spoon. Like, I can't see it in my brain, but I know that she did it because I've decoded several times and I was told that she did it. So, with the wooden spoon at 4 months old, so you can see the 2 and 3 and 4 in there. This also goes to not only cake batter, so she's referring to me as cake battery. And you know the cake goes to Betty Crocker. You know that she killed John F. Kennedy Jr. I decoded it. She killed Robert Kennedy Jr. She killed Marilyn Monroe. And all of that goes to her killing of Marilyn Monroe, but she's bringing it forward. And then she's referring to me as Cake Battery. So she's committing assault and battery. And what are the initials of assault and battery? AB, American Beauty. So she is literally assaulting me as a baby. So she carries this whole theme forward. So also in this, with the punching reference, she also used punch bowl. Okay, so P and the B is punch bowl. And then she also used punch bowl spoon. Now, if you remember way back in the 70s, all the swingers clubs and all that, they put all their keys in punch bowls and in fish bowls. Also, let me see, moving forward here. In the Charles Manson murders that she did, she's a leader of Charles Manson. She committed those murders, but she paints herself as the savior, and everybody else took the fall. And then she still runs around with her sickos today. One of them is one that does dirty jobs for her. That's not even a known person, except for how she used them to throw them over everyone. But anyway, so in the Death to Pigs, you know, she wrote that on the wall. Okay, also in that is flower power. Okay, so inside flower. So she did that too, assaulting me with the pencil when I was 2 months old. Flower power. Like pow, like in the kisser. So Flo and Wolf, all that is in there. So that is, and then she's also making a government crash threat. So I've decoded her pre-planning to crash the government so many times. And I literally think that there are threats to the White House itself. And it's not only crashing the economy, but assault on the White House itself. So anyway, this is more of that. There is a threat to the White House in it. So, okay, so carrying on. If you take 10050, which is the house number of CeeLo Drive, okay, plus 1920. So if you take that plus 1920, guess what the year is? 1971, my year of birth. Also, the front of CeeLo Drive has a slant, okay? So, see all code slant. So, this part right here, like, it's a funny memory to me, and I keep the funny memory, but I am definitely turning her in. So, the front of CeeLo Drive has a slant in the lawn. So, fast forward, she's controlling my dad, and she's controlling his life. She's controlling my mom. She's controlling my stepdad's life, and all my future marriages, all their lives at the same time. Way before I grow up and even meet any of them. And then she's controlling my life. So she controls his address. She controls him to be stationed at Great Lakes Naval Base. You know, see all decode. I decoded all this. So she moved him to the address. There's more evidence. She's controlling his address. His address is 1920 Lexington Avenue. So when I moved to North Chicago and we lived on base, my dad was already living there. And then I moved there. And then I went to North Chicago Community High School. Our house, my dad's house, had a slant in the backyard. Like the lawn went like diagonal down, like the front of CeeLo Drive. And the funny memory is because he would be like, you need to go, he'd tell me to go mow the lawn, right? And I'm like looking at the yard and I'm looking at it like slanting sideways. And I'm like, I can't do that. And he's like, it'll be good for you. Get out there and mow the lawn. I mean, he's a Marine. So he's like, just go, you'll be fine. So, I mean, it's a funny memory looking back because I feel like I'm totally like sideways mowing the lawn, trying not to tip myself over, trying not to tip the lawnmower over, trying to mow the lawn. But anyway, that matches the house at 10050 CeeLo Drive. Of course, that's their front yard, not like our backyard. But then she covers both, and then front and back, and then she's posing as FBI front and back. So, and then she got that, and then she's also using that as a reference to try to blame African American. She loves to blame everybody else for everything. Everybody else did it. No, it was Gene Robertson or Manson occult. Could they get it? Because she's using the I can't remember what it is. I decoded so much of it. It's gonna kill me. The front 40 or the back 40. You guys know what I'm talking about. So anyway, also, and then so moving forward in my life from when I was little, and then she routes my mom and my stepdad to move to 306 East Street in Globe, and we're at the top of the hill, another slant. And then I crashed down the hill. And then remember my walk home at the first house, I wouldn't walk on the street. I would go up behind the one on 11th or 12th Street, and I would climb up the poured concrete. So that's all future signs of 9/11. There's a whole bunch of ciphers I decoded all around that, but that also goes to her pre-planning to do the World Trade Center attack with the concrete falling down the side, and then I'm climbing up the concrete. Okay, so, and then also, this pissed me off. So I go to Google, go to Google Maps, and I'm trying to find at the second house where I used to walk home, and I wouldn't take the way that my mom would tell me to walk. I would walk a different way, and there was stairs that headed up straight that cut up into my street, and it was like literally like it was very, very steep. So I would just want to get to those stairs. So in decoding my life and my childhood, I know that's supposed to be, she's using that as a Mayan temple, right, is what she's using. And then that goes to her future plot. She's wanting to blame Mexico, and it probably goes to the Iran hostage crisis and everything else. She did all that. I decoded all of that. So anyway, so I go back and I go to try to, because I can't remember the name of these streets. I remember East and Cottonwood, but I mean, I had to like zigzag around to get where I was going when I was little. So to like go back into like my little girl self and follow my little walk home so I could find this again, because it was like a little cove inlet on the other side of East, because it was a drop off. So anyway, I finally found it on Google Maps. And guess what she has parked on the right side of the road? A big, gigantic black Jeep Hummer. It's sitting there right now. Jean drives a black Jeep. You talk about a fucking stalker fucking bitch. Now, here's the thing is, I don't know if somebody lives there and she iced them to buy that Jeep, or if she hustled someone, or if she took herself a road trip and parked it there to make sure it would land on the Google Maps photo. But you talk about a child trafficking, child abusing, terrorist mother effer. That ought to piss off everybody. They ought to go find out who that person is and let them know, if they don't have anything to do with this, let them know that they're being stalked by Gene Jernigan Robertson or Manson occult. Or if it was Gene Jernigan Roberts needs to be turned in for that, which I already turned her in repeatedly. So also, there's more here. So this is going on. Let me end this one, and I'm going to do a continuation in the next recording.